400 Washington Street. The first up on our discussion items tonight is the BRE Annual Report presented by Matt Brown. Welcome, Matt.
Hello. Thank you all for having us. Me, I guess. Nobody else wanted to come with me.
I'm here, buddy.
That's true. Robert is on our board. Thanks, Robert. We'll just kind of go through these pretty quick. I'm sure you all know what BRE is at this point. We are down to just our two full-time staff, so Matt McChesney and myself. Otherwise, we work with part-time and lots of daytime or event day volunteers and our board members like Robert, who's the city appointed. We do have 16 on our board, including Robert. Otherwise, they're just members of the Burlington community. Little refresher course on BRE in the city of Burlington. We've been contracted since 2018 for management of all the riverfront properties, so not just the auditorium, but the port and the depot as well. And we did just get that new 6-year agreement approved a few months ago, keeping the subsidy at $175,000 a year. This is a chart that I really like. It shows BRE's annual subsidy over the years. So in 2018, when we started management, we started at $250,000. And we have stair-stepped that down now to $175,000 a year for management. And then this one, using a bunch of numbers from city staff and Chad that were put together around budget season, shows the actual costs to the city. Those numbers earlier on, like city staff and venue works, really just reflect the auditorium cost. The BRE cost moving forward reflects with port, depot, et cetera, moved in.
Does those numbers include our cost, correct, Mr. Berg?
Yes. Utilities, et cetera.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then this was just a summary of the different ones. So the 1 year of city stats I had, the 3 years of venue works management averaged out, and then the whatever many years it's been, 6, 7, 8 years of BRE compared out. New in 2025 was a big one. Mother Nature took down our sign, so we were able to work with you guys and leverage the funds to replace that sign instead to replace lighting in the building, which was a huge need. Those pictures on the left side show a lot of what we were dealing with our stage fixtures. Things had just, I mean, most of it was 25 plus years old, and a lot of those fixtures were more like the 30 to 35 year range once we started to get into them. And then on the right-hand side's a little bit of a look of what the new lighting actually looks like in the arena. Little overview of events that we held at the auditorium. Had over 90 events down there with 33,000 attendees. Some of the bigger kids shows like Sesame Street Live. We had MMA again. Comedy Thursdays came back. The school district was just there for concerts again. We were able to team with Ballet Des Moines and bring the Nutcracker to town in December. Looking at the port, we had 65 events. A lot of those are our old standards like Weight Watchers. We have business meetings down there, wedding receptions, graduation parties. The Port Depot. Our 1 yearly rental down there this year was the Railroad Retirees again. They get together every August. And then I broke out the outdoor events this year. These used to get kind of partnered in, but it's a huge chunk of people and it deserves to kind of see its own recognition. So 17,000 people plus at our 5 major outdoor events, including the brand new River Days this past year where we teamed with Partners for Conservation. We have a bunch of free things that we do. So River Days Light, the tree lighting, Pride on the Riverfront, and our Friday Fest, which this year are going to be rebranded as Fourth Friday. So you can check those out the fourth Friday of May, June, July, and August. Quite a few partnership events. So we work with Parks Department, City for Earth Day and the Bridge Race. We work with the Marines. We host Toys for Tots, Suicide Awareness Walk from the high school, Safe Trick or Treat in the port, and more. So in all, we had over 50,000 attendees at our events this year between any of the 3 properties or outside, with an estimated economic impact of right around $4.5 million. $27,000 in waived rental fees, so that's when we work with community groups that are doing a good thing. We're not going to charge them $1 million to use the Port of Burlington. No, if you're doing suicide awareness, we'll waive your rental fee. So we work with a lot of groups like that. We've had over 1,000 volunteer hours in the past year. A lot of that happens during Haunted Auditorium. We get to use Notre Dame and Burlington and West Burlington students as actors. They get silver cord for it. They have a great time. And on average, we do have 1 event every 2 days in a riverfront property right now. This one shows our ticket purchases. So this was just paid attendees. The bigger the circle, the more purchases, and then the darker the color, the more money spent. But we have ticket sales from everywhere. It's kind of crazy to look at. We noticed a lot of those from out west were actually during Monster Match. So they had been here to either see family or tour with a traveling soccer team, and then came down to Honda Auditorium afterward. Social media reach last year had over 3.1 million views between followers and non-followers on our pages. And a peek at what's coming back this year. Marines are back. We've got the Nutcracker coming back, and some cool news on that in a second. The Great Pages Circus will be here next month. Haunted Auditorium, Brewfest is this weekend. We just keep on rolling. So looking at River Days, we did team up with Partners for Conservation to kind of ramp up our summer concert series. This year, it went way better than it had any right to do, and I think anybody on the River Days Committee would tell you that too. We had over 12,000 people in downtown Burlington between the 3 days, and using some of the Chamber's tools with Placer, we were able to see that 45% of those were outside of Burlington that came to town to experience River Days. And this year for the Nutcracker, we are expanding. Not only are we going to bring the Nutcracker back with Ballet Des Moines in December, we are going to work with them and local dance studios, Cheryl's and Ignite, to have 25 to 30 local dancers actually be part of the show here at the auditorium this year, and then adding a free matinee for third and fourth graders from area school districts. And with that, our 20% payback from rentals last year will be writing the city a check for $9,120. And that's all I've got.
Questions, council? Comments? Yep.
Good job for
Thank you.
bringing folks from outside the area.
Yeah, we were very pleasantly surprised with those River Day numbers.
They got a great boat to give away this year.
They do.
In case you want to buy a ticket. I thought it was, you glossed over, you didn't mention a number on there that kind
Oh.
of jumps out. It should be a bigger print, and I realize it's an estimated economic impact, but the 4.5 million, even if it's half that,
Yeah.
and then more importantly, the return on investment percentage, that's kind of high.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's my only comment.
Matt, maybe you could read the footnote there, tell them where that came
That comes from, they're called NEVA, so the National Independent Venue Association. Say that 10 times fast. But we are a member now as BRE, and that's one of the tools they offer is you put in a mile's worth of numbers and data and population data, and it shoots out a economic impact number.
And I like the social media slide too. So that's just a couple comments.
Say,
You guys- I feel you guys are doing a good job. That's for me.
And I would say I've been to a lot of these events recently. I did the Elmo thing with my kid. I did the Dr. Seuss thing. I've seen a lot of people show up to these events that I've been to. All the school stuff, that we're packing them in for the orchestra and the choir and all that. So I love that we're using the venue for public purposes and involving everybody. We need to shout out Chris Lee for River Days a little bit, right?
Absolutely. The two Chris's and Lance and John and everybody else we're a bunch of evil geniuses, I think is the right way to put it.
Is it the evil?
Is there any other comments, council, before we let Mr. Brown go home tonight?
You want to go home?
Well, I mean, I could go
All
on.
right.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Next up on our discussion items is a fire station number 3 update.
What?
Chief Toops.
Yep, you do. Good afternoon. Okay, so to get things started, a couple typo corrections and announcements, apologies to make first. I didn't get the PowerPoint presentation in your packets in time from Thursday, so I apologize. You don't have those, but I can get those to you if you want. It's going to be pretty brief tonight, 5 or 10
I would
minutes
say
max. But
ship them after
Sure.
tomorrow sometime, but yeah, we can follow along.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I apologize for that, and yep, I'll get those sent over, or the presentation sent over. And then also, this isn't presented by Tad. I'm not Tad Morrow, of course. So I told Tad, who is our construction management team lead, and Russell Brissy, who is our architecture team lead, that their presence wasn't needed tonight, and I could handle tonight's presentation. So if you think that I'm just regurgitating the same slides over to you, I'm not. I promise I do have some details to show you in these 5 or 6 slides. They are different than before. But again, as promised, I'm doing my darndest to stay out in front of you all and give you the updates where I think they're appropriate. So tonight really is what I consider my final update on this, the Station 3 second round of updates. So we're going to go over the final renderings update, an anticipated schedule. Last week, you heard me say that we were at the 50% design and development completion stage, which we are, which has led to this presentation tonight. And then one pretty important slide is a to-date estimated project completion budget. So I'm not showing you the budget details. However, I am going to give you a pretty important number for you to see tonight. So, okay, so you've seen this slide before. But what is highlighted in yellow and the red lettering is where we are today, the final reductions in square footage from the original project. So I always forget where is there a red dot on this? Nope. Well, anyway, the floor.
Push the red button.
Oh, it does work. Okay, so the floor plans on the right side of your screen, that is, as of last week, the most up-to-date floor plan that Canco and Klinger have provided. Again, it's taken a little bit of time to get to this because they got to really consider all the timing or the spacing of all the spaces and how electrical and HVAC works. Also, they have to consider very carefully the size of our apparatus and equipment and things like that. So this is the final floor print that we're working off of as we're going to go out to bids here soon. Total square foot reductions from the original project are 4,066 less square footage than the original. And then you can see we're also showing the apparatus bay reductions as well as the interior space reductions. So just around the board, reductions, reductions, reductions. We've scaled this floor plan back as much as we think is appropriate at this point. While I'm on this slide, and I might mention this at the end of the presentation, but I don't have the key attached to this floor plan, but if you can see number 3, room number 3, this is the training room. We have that spaced out to fit approximately 30 students. And of course, you could fit more or less, but 30 students is what we're planning for that. And that's pretty important to us because besides the original point of responding faster to our community, one of our next priorities is increasing and improving our overall training. So that's why this is such the space that you see here and its size, you can see that that's taking up a good bit of the building itself because that's how important it is to us. So just wanted to highlight that space right there. In addition to that too, this would be, Station 2 doesn't technically have a training space. There is no training room at Station 2. At Station 1, the only training room that we consider a training room is upstairs without an elevator. So this would be accommodating all of the community potentially into the future. So we really look to use this space going into the future. So you've seen this slide also. Nothing has changed here, and if you look carefully, the picture on the right side of the screen is not the exact building that I just showed you on the slide previously. However, this is just to show you the scale of what we've reduced from the entire 2-acre lot from an aerial view. So approximately 18,000 less square footage in all of the entire kit and caboodle that would be the pavement, adjacent pavements and building footprint. So you have seen that before. There's not much to go over unless you had a question there. Keep going here. Okay, so this is it. This is what we have designed. The top 2 slides, if you envision yourself standing on Roosevelt or the frontage road, that's what you're looking at the front of the station on the top 2 slides. If those red doors look familiar, those are the exact same doors that we just put on in Station 1. All of this, all the building exterior is what we're planning to be precast walls. So that's actually not brick. That's like a fake brick, but a precast stamped brick. Still looks very nice. And as you wrap around the building, so you go to the bottom 2 pictures, you can see that in an effort to, again, reduce costs of things, well, the brick part goes away, right? It doesn't have to all be like that. So we changed the the external view or visual of the building. But you can see it's a 3-bay apparatus bay. And again, this is everything scaled down to that square footage that we've already covered. So this is just a really good couple slides showing all angles of the building, the fire station there. So. Okay, so again, this is just a friendly reminder. The training tower and the training necessary pavement or infrastructure foundation is not a part of this project whatsoever. However, I just am keeping it alive and letting people know that we are hopeful to be planning into the future, and that's what that red and purple square symbolize. So not a part of this project whatsoever, but wouldn't be a good fire chief if I didn't keep that alive in some fashion there. So, okay, so here's our anticipated schedule. There's not a lot of details in this. When we get into the details, I'll be relying heavily on Mr. Bird and our project team lead, Canco construction manager, to really produce those details. But as you can see, the top line item is today. It's a work session, final update from myself. On the end of this month, or at the end of this month, 4:30, we anticipate Klingner's final plans due to Canco. If everything progresses as we think they will, Canco's going to officially post bids May 5th. We hope to receive bids. I think it's, well, on the 28th. And then following the 28th, we got another work session where we can review bids and contracts. And June 15th will be a vote from council. Tad he's not really given us a date, right, leading up to this point on when construction or shovels can be in the dirt, but he is firm now in saying if everything goes as planned, August 1st, there'll be materials on site. So pretty confident with him when he says that, pretty happy when he says that. This is, again, not a lot of details in here, and Tad and Chad will have to kind of work on some of those. He probably doesn't like doing that work, but that's where we're at there. Any questions with this slide?
Well, I'm gonna wait and see if you, the next slide.
Okay. Well, here, we're gonna get there then. So here's it. Here's the project budget estimate. And I realize this can be a pretty darn powerful slide for everybody in the room and the community members that may read this in their newspapers or social media. So as of today, we have a total project estimate of $6.3 million. Down there on the right side, right lower corner, it's important for me to add that we do have a couple contingencies built into this budget. What is called a design and estimating contingency, $378,000, and then a site and building construction contingency of roughly $215,000. Both of those total $593,869,000. That 593 number is right now built into that 6.3. So in a perfect world, if things go just as we want them to, that's at $593,000 that won't get spent and can be subtracted off of that 6.3 million. Now we all know that these are estimates right now. So nothing's guaranteed, but again, it's important to understand that $593,000 is contingency money right now. It's built in, it's baked in, and hopefully we don't use it and we can subtract a good amount of that out of that 6.3. But all in, if we spent that 593, we're looking at a rough project estimate of 6.3 million. So pretty powerful slide to end on right there.
Chief, is Tad or anybody indicated what the estimated time would take to build to completion?
About a year.
About a year.
Yep,
Okay,
and
that's what I
he's very careful with his words in
Sure.
in answering that question too, but about a year.
thought. Okay,
He
weather
wants-
permitting and
Yeah, weather
everything else.
permitting, everything going well,
Yeah.
but about 12 months.
Okay,
So, that's the end. I don't plan on presenting any more of this part of the station phase. we went over that schedule. Things again are gonna move quick. So we're
Council, do
moving
you
and
have any
moving.
questions for Chief? I don't think there's any questions at this point, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry. You've done leadership has been strong on this one, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Your
Well,
leadership's been strong on everything, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying on this in particular, it's been great.
I'll send you this
Current
PowerPoint to you all.
Great,
And
thank
if
you.
you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief. All right. Next is Board and Commission reports. We'll start on my left. Tim, did you have any this time?
Yeah, last Tuesday, you and I and Chad met with West Burlington. The couple of things that we nailed down was actually still a little bit of discussion on the new street painters, line painter that we got. Their crew was looking at it and seeing how that was gonna work for them, and we just needed to work out the details on it. Same way with the inspections department. They got we got our code ordinances in line so that if our inspectors go out and inspect our properties, they're using the same set of rules that they use in Burlington. And the third big thing was, we talked about having a joint council meeting again. And bringing everybody up to date in a little more detail of where we're at. So I think it was a good meeting, and we're headed in the right direction. The other thing, Saturday, I stopped out at the fire station number 2, and they were doing the testing, the physical agility testing. That was pretty cool. I got to talking with Deputy Chief Ramus and Fire Marshal Berndt, and they give me a lot of really interesting information about a number of different topics. And the chief was too busy. He had to test everybody himself, so he was out there with his pad and checking everybody out. I felt there were some people that done a very good job, and there was one individual that I'm going to hold very close to my heart that this is a third year of trying, and I don't think they're going to give up. I almost wish I could take them under my wing and work with them a little bit, because anybody that wants a job that bad deserves to get there. So
Yeah.
I
Persistence is key.
was really impressed by that. But I'm hopeful that there's some very good candidates in what was presented there. The only other thing was today with the senior center. It was a pretty short meeting. They have a new president and vice president. They actually have co-presidents, and then the vice president, they indoctrinated everybody into their offices, and that was about the extent of that meeting today. So.
Okay, fantastic. Annie?
I didn't have any.
I don't really have anything to add on Tim's update about the joint meeting progress. We'll be announcing a joint council meeting here soon. Did we set that?
We didn't,
We're
we talked
working
about
on
me
it.
sending some dates to
Yeah,
everyone
okay,
here to.
all right.
Yep.
So that'll be coming. I do think we have some progress to show, and we want to give both councils some updates on what we feel we've accomplished and some real numbers on some stuff. So if we can continue on that mission, we will save our taxpayers jointly some money. Okay, did you
I
have
have
anything?
nothing.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, BRE, the estimated economic impact of those events was somewhere around $4.5 million.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, we've definitely been in worse on that, look at that spot. Okay, so moving on to the proposed regular agenda for April 20th, 2026. We will start early, council, at 4:30 with the Citizens Academy. It'll be a question and answer session with those candidates or attendees of the academy. And then we'll kick off our meeting with the congratulations to those graduates of the 9th Annual City Academy. I can't believe it's been 9 years already. Number two, of course, I'm going to ask Mr. Byrd to expand on it. He addressed it the other day, but we'll have a very fitting proclamation for Arbor Day to Patrick Moore. Once again, we are the leaders in that for the state of Iowa Forestry Department, sweeping the awards, getting all three. We are number one. We're like Highlander.
And staying
in the
at the
state.
top.
Yeah, we're like
staying at the top.
Highlander
Yeah.
in the state. And then number three will be a public hearing, and that's consideration of fiscal year 2026, 2027 budget. Did you have anything to add, Stephanie? Okay.
She's gonna go through, so Stephanie's gonna go through her PowerPoint here quickly. And then,
Quickly.
so I do have this, I guess I have enough copies here, we can get them out. This is the cover letter that I typically create and then sign and put at the front of our budget book when the budget's complete, approved, and printed. But I thought I'd get that to you now as well, just so you can see that and have that information in front of you. Stephanie will cover a lot of that in this presentation here, but I just wanted you to see that draft letter, so.
So as I go through this, if you have any questions, just stop and answer. And then I will, if I don't find any mistakes tonight, I'll find mistakes, correct them, or else we'll get this posted on the website and it will be in the packet for next week too. So if people want to review it before the public hearing next Monday. So again, we're talking about the fiscal budget for '27. The budget's due the end of April 30th, so that's why we've got to get it approved next week. Basically, this is our revenues by the fund. Overall, the city has a little less revenue this year compared to fiscal year '26. I mean, some of the changes are basically capital projects. We had more budgeted in fiscal '26. But you can see the different funds that we use. And the amounts there. Just to kind of explain how fund accounting works is it's different buckets that it all does not go in together. We have restrictions on some of the revenues that we get. So the general fund, the biggest revenue in the general fund is property taxes, which you'll see in a later slide. That red bucket with the special revenue funds, those are funds that have to be set aside in separate funds. Road use, local option sales tax. So they have to be in a separate fund with restrictions that we can't use for other things. So, and TIF is also another special revenue fund. You've got your debt service fund. That's where the property taxes we levy to pay for our loan payments, that is in a separate fund. The permanent funds are donations that we get, such as like the Starker Trust. We get money every year from them. That goes into a permanent fund. Capital projects funds, that's where we account for all the capital projects, larger capital projects that we do. And then proprietary funds is just another name for business type. That's our sewer, solid waste, recplex, golf course. Any questions? So this is just showing the $80 million of revenues that we have budgeted. What makes up that amount? You see property taxes is 13 million, 17%. I won't go through all of them, but other revenue sources, 19 million, that will be bond proceeds between our GO bond and our sewer revenue bonds that we'll bond for next year. Intergovernmental, that's where road use rolls up to, so that's like 3.6 million of that. And then grant funding, all the different grant funding we get goes up into intergovernmental. Charges for services, that's where we have sewer or sewer fees, solid waste fees. Wastewater is, not wastewater, sorry. Waterworks is included in our budget. It's just a state thing that they're included. So in that charges for service, 8.6 million is waterworks. Sewer makes up 9.5 million, and solid waste is 2.6. And then that miscellaneous, it seems like shouldn't be miscellaneous because it's $1 million. As an accountant, I don't like that, but basically that's the title it rolls up into on the state budget. And that basically is any revenue that we record for our self-insurance and our trust and agency accounts. So those donations and stuff, that's what we have budgeted. So on the expenditure side, we're budgeting 87 million, then we have the transfer number. So this is broken down by the different programs. You can see public safety, public works is transit and streets. Business type, like I said before, that includes waterworks number, sewer, solid waste, and then capital projects. The transfer number is when we transfer fund to fund. So what makes up that 16 million is 9.5 million is gonna go into the general fund. And I'll kind of explain where that money's coming from a little bit later. We also, some of our GO debt that we pay is paid by with sewer funds. So there's a sewer transfer that we transfer money from the sewer fund into the debt service to make those payments. And then this breaks down the expenses, the 87 million, by what type they are. Personnel services, wages, insurance, retirement, contractual services, that's us paying external agencies, electric, repairs, training, our vehicle maintenance and property maintenance expenses go there. And the waterworks expenses are included in that 21 million, which is, kind of makes it seem high. And that is 8.2 million. Capital outlay, again, that's us purchasing or doing equipment, vehicles, and large projects. And then the debt service is paying towards borrowing. And then commodities are smaller things, supplies, vehicles, equipment. Oh, I'm sorry, purchasing the goods and supplies, so is that the one, so. So just a quick refresher how property tax works and how it's calculated. The county issues an assessed value on each property. The state of Iowa puts out a rollback every year, and this is what it gets adjusted to what the citizens pay for their taxable value on their property taxes. And then what they pay is a consolidated levy rate. So it's just not the city of Burlington. It's also Des Moines County, the school district, SEC, Ag Extension, and the state of Iowa. So when we look at last year's levy, the consolidated levy was $40.96. Of that, we were the $15.93. So we're 38%, 39% of that. You can see us and the school make up the majority of the property tax rate. The county 16%, and then just the small ones. And again, we're only speaking of our property tax rate, which we're gonna keep it the same at the $15.93. It's unknown what the school and the county are doing. So when people say my taxes went up anyway and you didn't even raise it, it's could be, you know, somebody else has raised the taxes, not the city. So just a list of the property tax increases and decreases for the last 10 years. We're proposing with this budget a no increase, keeping it at the $15.93. And this shows when we collect on that $15.93, the city will receive $13,053.36. Of that, approximately $10 million will go to the general fund. I know last week I broke out of that tax rate, $12.13 is the general fund. The remaining levy that people pay is for debt service, that $3.79 line. So right now, we do not levy for all our employee benefits. Basically, when we passed the sales tax referendum, that was for property tax relief. So instead of levying for all our benefit expense, we use local option sales tax to pay for our remaining benefit costs of $4 million. And if we didn't do that, we would have to increase the levy by $3.61. So it's a good thing we have the local option sales tax. So just an example, if you have a $100,000 assessed value residential house, you can see in 27, the rollback decreased from 26. So basically, the assessed value will be less taxed than it was the year before. So this year, we're showing $100,000 house is gonna pay, roughly $710.
Excuse me.
Sure.
To me, the rollback didn't decrease, the rollback increased. I mean, they're rolling back further than they did before, correct?
Well, I guess the way we explain it is for my taxes, I'm paying less taxes based on my assessed value. That's kind of why we say it decreased. Do you have
Okay.
anything to add?
No, it's just a semantic, when we talk
Yeah.
rollback, did it increase or decrease? It rolled back further,
Right.
right?
Yes,
So,
roll back further,
but,
Right.
yeah.
right.
It can be confusing, it's just a semantic thing that, you know, did
Yes.
it increase, well, it increased the benefit to the taxpayer, but it rolled back further, so it decreased from 47 to 44.
Yeah, okay.
So the same calculation on a commercial building, that's assessed at $300,000. You can see I compared this to FY '26. Again, they get the same rollback for the first $150,000 assessed value, and then after everything over $150,000 is taxed at 90%, right? I don't know why I wasn't thinking. So again, it's showing a slight decrease in the property taxes that they'll pay too, because of the rollback is the only thing that changed. So of that $710 that you're taxed, if you have that $100,000 house, I just break it down to show you where the money goes. There's the fire and police. They make up 46% of, they take 46% of those dollars. Library is at 6%. Parks and Rec is 7%. Debt service is 25%. Again, that's where we pay our bond payments. Public Works is 5%. Community Development, 3%. And then general administration is 8%. That's $60. So, anybody have any questions? Okay. So I know during, when we opened up the budget talks, Chad talked about this, showing, he updated this sheet with comparing of the FY '26 levies and where Burlington ranks with other cities with the $20,000 or 20,000 population. I know this is way too small to read, so when you get the PowerPoint, you can see. Burlington is highlighted there. Basically, since it's too, I'll just kind of go through some of the takeaways from this that we like to show is that we have the third lowest tax rate per capita when you compare other communities. So that's a positive thing. One of the things that's not so positive is we have the third lowest taxable value, meaning we don't have a lot to tax. We don't have a lot of dollar values to tax. So the two lowest taxable value cities, and you can look at this on the chart, is, oh, sorry, I went the wrong way. The two lower than us are Fort Dodge and Ottumwa, which they're the second from the bottom and the third from the bottom, and they have a tax rate of $5 more than Burlington does.
Yeah, they're, both of them are over 20 bucks, right?
Yeah, and we're at the 15. So our levy rate out of these 26 comp cities, we're almost in the middle. We're the 26th of 20, or 16th of 26. And when you look at the average levy of all the different cities, we're a little over than the average. But then if you look at the taxable value, our taxable value is a lot less than the average of 2.9 billion, so. So some of the things that went in, you know, it affects the budget is the taxable valuation. We did see a slight increase for this fiscal year. You can see the TIF valuation went down, but overall our regular valuation went up by 7%. So you can see by keeping the levy rate the same, we will bring in more taxes because that valuation went up of $805,937 compared to last year. So some of the items that are in the budget, the health insurance, we budgeted at 5%. It did come in at 5%, so that's good. IPER stayed the same, the pension cost. Fire and police slightly had a decrease, so that's good. And then here's our general fund revenues. You can see out of the general fund, over half, almost half of the revenue they get is from the property taxes. And then hotel motel is a larger number. That's required that it has to go into the general fund first, then it gets transferred out. You can see charges for services. The largest charge for service in the general fund is ambulance. Other than that, it's transit, and intergovernmental would be grants that we get, that we record in the general fund. So we have the 15.9 million for revenues in the general fund. For expenses, we have budgeted 25 million. And you can see the breakdown there. Approximately, 29% is police, fires 28, building codes 3. Those are the 3 departments that make up public safety. So you can see that. These are just putting dollar amounts with each expenditure. So the way we balance the general fund then, because we only have 15 million coming in for revenues, but we have the $25 million expense, is we do the transfer in. And you can see we're budgeted for this year to have $9.5 million transferred into the general fund. Like I stated earlier, the local option sales tax, I will transfer in $5 million for that property tax relief, so we don't have to raise taxes to cover that. And again, that was voted upon that, we were gonna use it for property tax relief and police officers. So I'll show you how much are used for the police officers on another slide. Also, our employee benefits levy, it's a special revenue fund. So the money comes into that fund and then I transfer it into the general fund because it's for employee benefits. So that transfers 2.8 million. And then our business type funds, we transfer in 1.1 million for sewer, solid waste. Those are to cover the general admin expenses for those operations. So we are projecting our ending fund balance will be $5,025,654, which is 19% of the total expenditures. So we are decreasing our fund balance this year. Last year it was 23.6. So the sewer fund, really no changes. We all know why we have a lot of expenses there to comply with the EPA sewer separation requirements. We are increasing the rate 4%, just like we've had in the past. We always work with Traverse Squires to look at if that needs to be changed with the future, what debt we have coming up, projects we have to do, and we've been pretty good at maintaining the 4% to cover what we need now and in the future. Solid waste fund, we're doing a 45-cent per month increase for the solid waste fees. So each cart will go up 45 cents per month. And then included in that 35-gallon cart cost of $16.90 includes a $4.55 charge per month for recycling. So that amount of your fee that people pay goes to the recycling center. They increased the recycling fee 10 cents per month. this year, but the landfill, there was no tipping increases this year, so that's good. So capital projects, I should have got with Nate to get a picture of the new fire station. I could have put it in there, but.
That looks just like it.
Yeah, I was close. Huh? This kind of just depicts in a different way to see where we're spending all the different money for capital projects. Instead of just like looking Summer Street's 5 million or what other streets are all rolled up in that. Sewer separation, there's, I think, 3 different projects we're doing, but when you see the number all together, it's a lot, 7 million. Parks and Trails project, there's 2 million. Wastewater project's 1 million. And then our flood protection program at 5.4. None of these obviously are a surprise to anybody because we've been talking about the CIP. And then here's just a list of the actual dollars that we have budgeted by project. Again, I think we've went over a lot of that during the budget talks. The hotel motel fund, we're budgeting for $1.1 million this year. We still have the split between the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We keep 70%, they get 30% of the first $700,000. So we have budgeted $1.4 million out of that fund for this year, and you can see broke down what we'll pay the CVB, auditorium, riverfront maintenance. For parks improvements, we have a larger Recplex project, and then we also transfer $100,000 into the general fund for parks property tax relief. The culture and assistance, that's the arts collective that you voted on last week. And then special projects, again, you see we have North Hill Park, Nancy Nafee. We do transfer that $175,000 into the Recplex as an operating subsidy. And then the $200,000 at the top, I skipped that, that gets transferred into the general fund for other recreational activities too, to help pay for that. And then community field, we budgeted $70,000 for the utilities there. Sales tax fund, this is the penny that we get. It was voter approved and it will be through December 31st of 2032. So 50% of that we use for property tax relief, and then the other 50% it can go to public safety, capital improvements, equipment, debt, economic development. We're budgeting that to stay flat at 5.4%, or sorry, $5.4 million. Out of that fund, we're budgeting a little bit more to be spent. We do have a fund balance in that account that will make up the difference between the 5.4 million and the 5.9 that we have budgeted. So the first 3 items are what is all being transferred to the general fund. The police officer line, we take the estimate cost for 8 officers and we transfer that into the general fund. And then the equipment that they have on their CIP with the $315,400 goes back into the general fund. And then, again, I just list the other things that we have. Most of this, all of it, we've discussed in our budget meetings. So nothing has changed since you guys have seen these numbers. And then, just like to go over our legal debt margin. The state of Iowa has a requirement that we can't have a debt limit more than 5% of our assessed valuation. The city of Burlington has a financial policy that we will not be more than 70% of that limit. So you can see we've stayed below it pretty well the last few years. So we haven't, and again, 26 and 27 are projected, like based on what we're gonna bond in the next month or 2. So we still aren't really getting close to that 70%, so. That's all I have, if anybody has any questions.
That's a lot of good information. Thanks, Steph.
Anything else you'd wanna see next week, or, like I said, I'll get it out on the website and.
Council, questions, comments? What do you want to see in addition?
I
So
think
what-
you've done an admirable job of explaining everything.
Also, that what will be in the packet for next week too will actually be the state form, the budget form. So there'll be the resolution. You'll see the state form with the $15.93, and then all the detailed numbers in there. If anybody has any questions on that,
Okay,
but that's what will be electronically filed once you approve it.
council, you,
I did have one question. The $70,000 that's budgeted for B's utilities, that's 40% increase from what it was, and I thought that their contract ended this year.
Ends in fiscal '26, so we'll be negotiating for '27. But we don't know what that is, so we budget the same in the contract year. Because that contract hasn't been approved for '27 yet, so we budget the same. Does that make sense? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but the budget was 50,000 last year.
For utilities?
Yeah,
the budget was the capital, which we got rid of, the capital outlay was 50.
That's different. This
That's
is.
different, yeah.
Yeah,
This is
I can
just-
look at that to see.
Yeah, look at, because I do recall it being a different figure. I don't think it was 50, I thought it was 65. But if you would check that out before the meeting,
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, I can
Appreciate
do
that.
And that's not even a pass-through. We just pay the utility bill as it comes in. That doesn't go
Yeah.
to them, so.
And,
We'll clarify that number.
and we're gonna work on that in our
Yeah.
contract as far as how.
Jill and I are working on dates. We've met once already, so.
Okay. Is that answered, Tim? Or do you got it there?
I've got it, but I'll have to go through a lot of paperwork. so.
Okay. Well, Steph, if you could check that out and
Yeah.
then just email us so we have that answer well ahead of time, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, next is a consideration of a consolidated transit grant application. And I saw him sprint out of here, and he sprints back in.
Sprinting is a,
He walked briskly.
so, next week, we will be doing a public hearing to go through the Consolidated Transit Grant application. This is an annual process that we go through to secure funding through, for the STA, the State Transit Operating Assistance, and then the Federal Transit Operating Assistance. God, I'm breathing like I did sprint across the goddamn world, didn't I? Got a little huff in my puff.
Chief, just keep an eye.
He's EMT. Well, many hands make light work, so get ready to work.
Oh,
Was that one again?
I'll hold it up and give it Vanna White style.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of explain the dollars, the STA funds are $247,000, and the FTA funds are different than what we put in the public hearing. We get updates from the DOT on a regular basis, and I've had 3 different updates on the FTA funds. So, as put in the paper was $486,000. The most recent update, we will be receiving $453,000. So it's a $30,000 decrease, which means we have more obligation on our own property taxes. And then in the public hearing notice, we also push the different buses that we would like to get grant security for. So it's been a strategy we've used for the last 4 or 5 years, where we put 5 years worth on there because the DOT has a ranking system. It's called PTMS. I don't know what it stands for. But they score the buses based on useful life remaining and the miles. And so from one given year to another given year, those can alter or fluctuate rather. And so when I set a CIP for bus 733, well, if in 6 months that mileage increases and we report it, that may shoot up or go down. So we just have been applying for all 4 of them. We don't necessarily intend to fund all 4 of them, but just kind of shotgun approach to see which ones we get the grant dollars for. So I don't know that I have any more details other than
Is that appropriation that went down 30,000, is that because of, what's the reason for it?
so
That you can best guess?
I think the dollars from the feds have reduced.
Okay.
So the federal government sends a pot of money to the Iowa DOT, and there are 3 different classifications for transit associations or agencies within the state. And ridership and miles are all part of a formula that go into the subcategory. We're in the same category as Fort Dodge, Muscatine, Marshalltown.
So comparable.
And
size
so the
cities.
percentages haven't fluctuated, but the total dollar pool available has gone down.
Okay,
So that's, my best estimation isn't necessarily anything that we've done
Okay.
here as far as reduced miles or people. It's the overall dollars that are hitting the pool.
thank you for that. That's what I was wondering.
Looked up your acronym. It's Public Transit Management System.
Cool. Thank
And-
you.
And you described that well. They also do a mileage score plus an age score on your vehicles to look at thresholds. And then, yeah, kind of neat. But
And we've been doing fairly well. The COVID timeframe was fairly good for a capital grant program. So we grabbed a bunch of buses that we replaced from the, I'm going to say it, the Obama buses, as we called them. So after the 08-09 crash, there was a big spurt from the federal government for transit agencies to buy buses. And so then you saw that again in the early 2020s. So the problem with that is you buy a bunch of buses in the same era, and then they all hit the end of their life at the same time frame. So ironically, it was kind of good timing that we had the injection of the federal dollars, not COVID.
Any questions, council, for Nick?
Good job.
Tim, are you looking something up for him or no? You ready? Are we, okay. Okay, all right, thanks, Nick. Next up, resolution approving a solar power and services agreement with Red Lion, Burlington Solar LLC for installation operations of solar PV systems at city facilities, continued from April 6, 2026 city council meeting. Mr. Byrd.
And I don't have a lot of updated information. I did leave the same contract in the packet. I did have a lengthy conversation with one of our city attorneys today to continue to work through the agreement and negotiate some changes favorable to the city with our provider. I'm still waiting on some red line from our city attorney with Dallas Lynch. So hopefully by this week's packet deadline, I'll have that for you. If not, we'll continue it again, or I'll ask you to continue it again. I want to make sure we get it right. 20 years is a long time to have a contract, and 30 years is a long time to have equipment. But today's call went really well, and I got some good feedback that I'll be working through the agreement as well. So for now, though, I'm going to keep the original agreement in there, so you can continue to see it, and for the sake of the public, they can see that document as well. But know that there will be technical changes coming, so.
Okay.
And then I would just add here that I did add set date under the public hearings at the end of the agenda, and that's for the lease and easement agreement. And that basically just gives Red Lion Burlington LLC the right to place infrastructure on city property.
Okay.
Is what, there really aren't questions with that, but that will require a public hearing.
Okay.
Any questions on any of that information? I didn't have a lot of change there for you, but.
Everybody good? Yep. Okay, number 6, resolution approving a professional services agreement with MSA Professional Services for the preparation of a comprehensive plan update and a parks, trails, and recreation system plan for the city of Burlington, Iowa. Mr. Tislin.
This has been discussed through the budget process, and it was talked about bringing this forward in this current fiscal year. So that's what we're doing here to update the comprehensive plan, which was previously adopted in 2012 and was prepared by MSA at that time as well, which would give them extensive knowledge and background on our community and processes, as well as the park plan, which was adopted in 1997. Again, the comp plan serves as the city's primary long-range policy document for growth, land use, housing, economic development, transportation, neighborhood reinvestment, infrastructure, and implementation. And the park trail recreation system plan assesses the existing park and trail assets, identifies service gaps and future needs, guides recreation trail and park improvement priorities, And we have quite a list of projects that would allow for public input and prioritization through that with the council. MSA would be prepared to start as early as May and would plan for a 12 to 18-month process for the plans, with cost savings having both plans going at once through the public input process, being here in our community and going through that. Their proposed agreement is lump sum $150,000 for completion of both plans. Could be some other expenditures if we want additional public input or processes through that, but we did have $200,000 budgeted for it, and this is coming in at $150,000. Anything to add, Chad, on that end?
Yeah, no, the only thing that I had talked through the budget process about getting this going early, part of my reason was so that we could spread that cost over 2 fiscal years, 26 and 27. I'm very pleased that it's coming in less than budgeted by 50. So I think even if council were to approve it and we'd get started, you're not even looking at very much for fiscal 26, with the bulk of it being in 27. Maybe the final payments even in fiscal 28, depending on how long it really takes them to get going, so.
Council, any questions? All right, moving on. Number 7, resolution.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm sorry to jump that. Chris Jansen with MSA will be here at the council meeting as well to answer any questions.
Okay.
And that's, we did have a good relationship 12, 15 years ago, and he worked on the plan kind of as an entry level at the time, and he'll be here working on it as well, so.
Oh, good. That's cool. Good. Well, I didn't mean to jump ahead of you.
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we'll have.
Okay,
up here
we're
on
good, Eric.
Monday.
Thank you. Number 7, resolution awarding contract for 2026 Dolan Street Sewer Project. Mr. McGregor.
The Dolan Street Storm Sewer Project is one that installs new storm sewer intake and piping from the end of the cul-de-sac on Dolan. It takes it down towards the DOT right-of-way and crosses Lucas Avenue. We received bids last week. We had 4 bidders. FS Inc. was the apparent low bidder, and I would recommend awarding at $84,444. The estimate was at $118,000. So all 4 bidders were underneath the estimate, so that's good to see. I don't know that I would have anything else. Paid for through sewer funds.
And to be clear, storm sewer funds? Storm sewer
No.
or sanitary sewer?
Sanitary.
Sanitary, okay.
Okay. Council, any thoughts or concerns? Good job coming in under budget. Number 8 is a resolution approving a professional services agreement with HR Green, Inc. for equalization tank control improvements project.
This is kind of the crossover type project with the collection system and the wastewater treatment plant. The equalization tanks, we have 3 of them across town that are a semblance of, we had to install them as a part of sewer separation because of the way we did it. A lot of our infrastructure was old and had a lot of I&I. We installed the tanks to help curb the peak flow of sanitary sewer flow. So currently, we have 3 tanks that have mechanisms in there that close valves, but it's all done on site. The goal with this would be to get some automation and then some SCADA controls, so Tim at the wastewater treatment plant could, one, see volumes, but also control them from on-site. Kind of an auxiliary piece that is shown worse is during our flood times. So when the river is up to 19 foot, we've in the past had to bypass with sandbags at these tanks. With this type of automation, we should be able to control those valves and shut them on purpose to be able to control the flow in the system. So this contract or design plan would be $89,000 to HR Green to design the tank system.
Okay. Questions, council?
So am I understanding that right? Like, you can't get to them when it's flooded, and that's why you need these valves?
No, it's not so much that we can't, they're high enough up in the system that they're not affected by river water. However, the system is, downstream is, it's the most upstream part that we're able to affect the flow so that it doesn't overwhelm the Market Street lift station. That's the biggest piece of it is,
Okay.
but tying everything together so it works better.
Anything to add, Mr. Byrd?
No, I don't, thanks.
Okay. Council, any further questions? Moving on, number 9, resolution approving the purchase of a 2026 rear load garbage truck for the Public Works Department. Nick?
So this resolution is a little bit vague. I understand that. Typically, when we purchase heavy pieces of equipment like this, we say the brand, model, and vendor in the resolution and memo. I haven't quite selected the vehicle or the vendor. We have a rear load garbage truck budgeted for fiscal year '27. Currently, I am trying to play a couple of vendors to give us the best pricing and best rear load option that they have available relatively immediately. Our fleet is old enough that we've had a few of the garbage trucks kind of kick the bucket recently, and so today we only had 4 trucks in operation. So it made today, I'm sure we paid some overtime to try and get everything picked up. So on Mondays we run 5 trucks, for instance. So we have some that we plan to get rid of, others that the investment in repairs doesn't make sense on a 20-year-old vehicle. And so we're going to liquidate those assets, get ourselves into a new unit. And it's not exactly ideal from the previous operation, but I'm trying to change the impression of the way we used to do operations. I won't get into those details, but I have a couple of good prices, significantly less than this $351,000 that's budgeted. So my goal would be to change the resolution and memo to include the updated pricing.
Okay. Questions, concerns, council? Seeing none, we'll move on to the proposed consent agenda for April 20, 2026. First is a resolution approving nuisance abatements for various properties. I was overjoyed to see it was only 4, but I realize that's a product of the time and of the year. But still, we'll just savor the floor, okay, or the 4, okay? We're gonna just savor 4 properties. It's very satisfying to see that number. Number 2 is a resolution approving Traffic Safety Improvement Program, TSIP funding agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for the Division Street and West Burlington Avenue Roundabout Project. Mr. McGregor?
So this is a grant agreement that comes post applying for the TSIP. We've already talked about 2 different grant project or pieces that'll go into this project. The TSIP, the Traffic Safety Improvement. I've already told you that we've received this. This is the process to formally agree to the grant agreement. The other piece of that is a RISE grant that's tied to jobs created by Western Smokehouse. So this is kind of a 2-part piece. What I probably should do is when we apply, give authorization to approve the grant agreement. But this is okay too. It's just another piece in the process. So that's all this is.
Council, thoughts, concerns? Anything to add, Mr. Byrd?
No. All right, any other questions about the project overall? Or anything? Okay.
Brandon North will be excited.
Yeah.
Number 3, resolution approving the audit services for fiscal years 2026 through 2030 with Anderson, Larkin and Company, PC. Mrs. Stuker.
So I went out I did an annual bid for this, not annual bid, we do it once every 5 years. I go for a 3-year quote and then with 2 additional years and everything's going good, which it has been. Anderson, Larkin and Company is our current auditors. Their quote came in with no increase, that's what we pay now. So they're, on that Exhibit B, you can see I sent the RFP out to 4 different auditors, and I only got 1 response this year. And the only thing I can think of is These other ones, the last time they bid, they were like 10,000 more than Anderson Larkin. So I know the state, you have to report to the state how much the audit was. So if they know that we're getting an amount like this, they must decided not to bid because they can't do it for under that. So we have been paying that 37,000 for the audit since 2020. So it has been good for us. The last time we had the RSM audit us, which was June 30th of 15, we paid 42,000. So we've been able to keep it low. And I know Tim had a question about why we don't have any local firms. We don't have any local CPA firms that do governmental work. So there isn't anybody local to send it to. So I know that Boschneck and Formlet, they audit the waterworks and City of West Burlington, so I thought they would bid on it, and they're out of Moline, but I didn't get any response, so.
Well, if you would take that approach with no increases
I know,
2020
yeah.
to all things,
Would be
we
great,
would be
right?
extremely satisfied.
I thought it was interesting too. I was curious, and Stephanie and I had some conversations about this today. So I went back and looked at the audit proposals for the last 3 years in the city I previously served. They were $37,000 for fiscal 19, fiscal 20, fiscal 21, much smaller community. Again, six years ago, same price. It's amazing. Yeah, this
Well-
is a good deal.
Yeah, and it, I'm assuming, I'm gonna make this assumption. And it is an assumption, but I would say that's also a tribute to you and your department
That's what
for
I
how
was
accurate
going
the
to say.
information always is.
Yes.
And that is complete to begin with, so
Yep.
they don't have to be digging around to find.
That's an excellent point.
That's my assumption, I'm sticking with it. So good
Okay.
job.
So they like you too.
Okay, any questions or concerns beyond that? Moving on, number 4, resolution improving interlocal agreement between the City of Burlington and the Des Moines County for 2025 Burn Justice Assistance Grant, the JAG Program Award. Lieutenant Rohr.
So this is an interlocal agreement between Burlington and Des Moines County, looking at getting 3 bicycles. 2 would be allocated to the Burlington Police Department and 1 to the Sheriff's Office. And the biggest thing is this is 100% funded through the Burn JAG grant, and it would allow officers to traverse all the hills in the town and in the county a lot easier.
They're e-bikes, correct?
E-bikes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
Fantastic.
catching up with the times.
I'd like to see you on one.
I'd like to see me on one too.
Well, I will say, you put those things in turbo, you can move. And you
That's
High
it.
speed of 28 miles
28
per
miles.
hour.
Yeah,
per hour,
and you
right?
don't get gassed, so,
I think I could see myself on one.
I do. Any questions?
No,
for
sounds
Lieutenant?
I think the specs here say that they're rated for like 28 miles an hour,
28 miles an hour.
Yeah,
yeah.
28,
Yeah.
that's what he said, yeah.
up to 60 miles on a charge, so that's amazing. The other
And that's
thing,
at the max
You guys
rate.
could almost
Yeah.
keep up with the bikers that come to town for the.
Right.
I was on bike patrol years ago, and to go from the south side of town to the north side of town with all the hills, this will just be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So,
What was that, about hour 13?
well, and I appreciate the collaboration between the sheriff's office and the Burlington PD on this program too. That's amazing, so thanks
Good
for
stuff.
doing that.
I did see a line in there, if they give up their bike, we get it back.
Yes.
So maybe they don't want to ride their bike.
well, sometimes things get underutilized. You don't know how much you're gonna use them, but our bike patrol is pretty strong in the summertime, especially with like riverfront events and stuff, so
Yeah.
might as well have that line in there.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you,
Does
Lieutenant.
this company specialize in these bikes?
Yeah, actually, it's, they can put police on them, sheriff on them, and that's kind of the cheapest one. Not the cheapest, but they do this all around the US, so a lot of other places are going with this brand.
Now, if you step away one more time, we're gonna call you back, so stay there for a second.
Yes, sir.
Or we have any other questions or comments for Lieutenant?
I kind of do, because we have the UTV ordinance, and people can ride them in town, but I've had a few people feel that either somebody's not operating the vehicle in a safe manner, or that maybe they don't have all the proper equipment on it. And so I think maybe you being on a bike would make it easier to maybe catch one of those folks, you know, because they'll see you roll up in a cop car and they'll disappear, but if you're on a bike, maybe you can address some of those things.
You could address that and then just sneaking up on crime in progress. I mean, they're not gonna hear you.
No.
You know, honestly, like,
They're
when
not.
I was on bike patrol before, just
happen to
amazing
roll
what,
up.
they just think you're a normal,
Bike.
everyday guy just biking at night. So you can really sneak up on a lot of stuff happening.
Me,
Thank you, Lieutenant, appreciate it. Okay, we got,
Is it
we're gonna let him go? All right,
Yes.
good. All right, then we are gonna set the date for a couple of public hearings, May 4th, 2026. First one will be a consideration of community development block grant, housing roof grant program. Excited to hear that one. And then, as Mr. Byrd mentioned, a consideration of lease and easement agreement with Red Lion for Burlington Solar. It's not Red Robin. It's almost as bad as Red Flex. I finally got that one out of my system. So we'll go around the room and get updates from staff and then council. Eric, anything else from Development Department? Now I've got it, the jinx.
We have Earth Day coming up this Saturday, April 18th at the Port of Burlington, as usual. Registration between 8 and 9 down there. Come down, we'll give you a location, bags, gloves to clean up from 9 to 11 and come back for lunch afterwards. There should be other vendors and experiences down there, so come on and check it out. And you can find more details on the Keep Burlington Beautiful Facebook page, so we appreciate all the work that that committee puts into it. And then a reminder, our summer camp is open for registration. You can find details on the park's Facebook page or website, but I encourage people that are interested to either reach out or go online and find more information on that. It's a great deal and a great time for those kids. And I think that's all I have right now.
Okay. Tim, anything from wastewater? Ms. Jacobs, anything from library?
This Wednesday is a Board of Trustees meeting. We'll be meeting at 4:30 in the Create Space at the library. The education for this month is a review of the 27 interpretations of the Library Bill of Rights, which is a document written in 1938 by Forrest Spalding, who was the Des Moines Public Library director, writing this for his library board in response to what he saw happening in Nazi Germany. It's gone on to become the global beacon for libraries across the planet, and there are now 27 interpretations. So we will be looking at those and discussing those at this week's meeting. As Eric mentioned, Saturday is Earth Day, and the library will have a few things going on at the library in conjunction with that. And I would encourage you, if you've not read anything by Doug Tallamy, we've got several of his books. He is the modern day Aldo Leopold. He's a huge conservationist. He's started Homegrown National Park, very in line with Earth Day themes. And we are bringing him here on Friday, May 1st. We'll have an author event at the Capitol Theater. This is the first big name author that we've brought in. And so it's in partnership with the Leopold Landscape Alliance and the Des Moines County Master Gardeners, and we're really excited for that. So board meeting Wednesday, Earth Day Saturday, Friday, May 1st, Doug Tallamy.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Steph, anything else from finance? Mr. McGregor, anything else?
Couple things. The intersection over here, I don't want to jinx this. It'll be this week, but I wouldn't want to say tomorrow. They were doing some saw cut, and so it should be pretty soon that they're going to open that thing up. And then we're moving west on Washington Street. There's some work that's started over on the 700, 800 blocks. So we're still moving. The 5th Street intersection should start seeing some concrete here pretty soon.
So basically, you're gonna have 5th closed, then you're gonna close 8th, right?
Yes.
Yes, and so that section of street is gonna kind of be dead to anybody trying to flow through. So we need to make sure to publish. I mean, they'll figure it out anyway, but it'll be pretty dead.
So we'll have the central, when we do close the 800 block, we'll have the Central Street Bridge will have closures.
Right.
However, there will still be some access for folks off of Columbia and down. I don't even know if that's good road. It's got a name underneath. Lower Central Avenue.
Yeah.
Kind of like Lower Wacker Drive,
kind
right
of the
underneath.
underpass.
Right.
Let's call it the underpass.
The
Central Street
underpass. So that'll be accessible to folks. I know we have it's a one-way, but
Sure.
we would probably be able to allow it to
better than
have.
nothing.
Yep. Secondarily, went out Friday. We, the city, put out a survey for Cascade Bridge. It is very similar to the public input session as far as the visuals and the mechanisms behind it. It will stay live. I think it's just on our Facebook page. I don't know if it was posted on our website. It'll stay live till the 23rd. I've seen quite a bit of commentary on it on Facebook. I just want it noted so you all know. All the comments that are on Facebook, we're not recording those.
Okay.
So
Right.
unless they're filling out the survey,
With the same information.
that's
then,
just,
yeah.
I hate to say white noise, but
Into the ether.
that's what it is.
Yep.
But you might explain why the survey, why it's required by the SHPO process.
Yep. Yeah, so all this public engagement and public input is really a part of the process to get the buy-in from the public to create the process of appeasing SHPO for our memorandum of understanding to demolish the National Historic Registered Place. So while it may seem overdone, there's a reason why we're getting all the information. We're also opening, maybe it was on the survey itself, of asking folks if they want to be interviewed about Cascade Bridge. So there are several different things we're trying to do to remember the history of Cascade Bridge, and one of them is interviewing people and putting it into a video montage of folks talking. So the design aspects that they're trying to select, that is a part of the process. So you don't like the roundabout, dislike the roundabout. You don't like the railing, click the one you like, right? It's just input, right? That's what it is. And so it's part of the process. We'll get some of that information to you all once it's all collected, and then you can make the decision.
Okay.
So,
I read some of those comments, Nick, and it surprised me that more people don't have any idea where we're at on this process, that this has even been a discussion for the last 6 years. So it boggled my mind that people don't know what's going on, and then they still choose to comment, so I feel
yeah.
you.
Well, you're close to it because you've been part of it. I'm really close to it because it's one of our things. It's tough to pay attention to things when you're disconnected from it, right? And city government is not always the best at engaging folks, trying to meet them where they are. So we're trying to do that to some degree, and maybe it's not done 100% accurate, but it's at least a step in the right direction. So they can give out their opinions and their comments and let the things proceed, so.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Mr. Byrd, anything?
Let's see, tomorrow is the,
Tuesday.
tomorrow's Tuesday. The Iowa DOT will be in southeast Iowa, and so several of us will venture to Fort Madison to present some of the initial concepts for Highway 61 Roosevelt to the commission. This will be the first time that the commission will really kind of hear about this proposed idea to make improvements, but to 61, but we all know that the corridor needs improvement. That's not to say that we've been working over the last year in a void and have not been in contact with the DOT. We have been, but this will be our first opportunity to publicly present concepts and ideas to the commission itself. So it's an open public meeting. I encourage anybody that wants to see that process or be engaged, come on down to Fort Madison tomorrow. I think it starts at 8 o'clock. We can get you information on specifically where. So, and then we did receive an email from Southeast Iowa Regional Planning about another housing success story. And so I have some information here on a before and after of housing improvements. And actually, these folks felt so grateful that they were compelled to write a testimonial, and that resides on the Iowa Finance Authority website as a testimonial to the program. So thought I would share that and just pass that around. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Appreciate those success stories that they're providing us with. Ken, do you have anything else tonight?
Yeah, I just, I'll clarify on that, that piece thing. Last year, we did give them 74,000 That was 50,000 for utilities and 24,000 to subsidize the employee.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Rob, anything else tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, anything else tonight?
I would just encourage people, if they can't come to Earth Day cleanup on Saturday, to pick up someday this week while you're walking around or when you do have time.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got nothing, thank you.
Well, you stole my thunder, Kay. I was gonna say, one of the things we used to do when Earth Day started, because there was a lot of businesses can't come down, but they can pick up around their property that day. That is the specific day, and of course, you wanna pick up around your property, or if you're a private citizen, pick up around your house. Or, if you know you have a neighbor that has trouble getting out, maybe go over and help them. So, but it needs to be an everyday process here in Burlington till we get things cleaned up. Lastly, I just want to express some words of appreciation for our staff. I think we are trying to let our employees and staff know how much we value them. We had the employee luncheon this last Friday. I was thrilled to be a part of it. And the food and fellowship, it was a wonderful break in the day. It was wonderful to engage with our people, and we are blessed as a community. I talked to a lot of mayors on the mayor page, and there's a lot of complaints out there, folks, and I don't have any, which is a really nice thing. There's a really, well, knock on wood, but I don't.
We have great employees.
Yeah, to a person, and so, sometimes I think they think I'm BSing them, and I'm not. So I really have a lot of pride in our staff that we have, long-term, and then the new people coming in, and we're getting them indoctrinated, getting them believing in our programs, and then every time you turn around, we're the leaders in different programs throughout the state, or either we're not number one, we're number two, or at least the doggone top 5 at everything. And, we all hear a lot of complaints and gripes, but I'm telling you, we are blessed. We're living in a blessed time for the city of Burlington, and I appreciate not only our staff, but also all the volunteers in Burlington. It makes you feel good when you go to bed at night, so. Thank you for that, and that's from the bottom of my heart. Let's get the heck out of here.